It's a big old year of rugby. The British and Irish Lions touring to Australia this summer. So Sam Warburton and John Barclay have been busying themselves with trying to select their team after the opening round of the Guinness Six Nations. Sam Warburton, of course, victorious captain back in 2013. John Barclay, you've had a go at your team. Who's on it?
Yeah, a couple of surprises. A couple of people stood up this week, I think. But based on what we saw across the first round, I think looking at loosehead, Andrew Porter's out in front. Pierce Schumann probably rivaling him for potential backup. I thought Dan Sheehan's influence off the bench in a 30-minute cameo just showed he is streets ahead at hooker. Xander Fagerson, there's no Tyke Furlong, so I think Xander Fagerson gets through so much work. 60, 70 minutes every week for Scotland, carries the ball well, set piece was good. I thought Marrow played very well at the weekend, and Tyke Byrne I was chatting to Warby before, just has big moments in games, big turnovers, scored a try as well. Across the back row, I thought Roy Darge, we've spoken about on Rugby Spec, I thought he was sensational at the breakdown, was a real shining light for Scotland. I thought Tom Curry as well, absolutely ruthless at the breakdown against Ireland. And Doris maybe didn't have his most prominent game, but I just think he is at that level compared to the other eights in the championship. Gibson Park, streets ahead at 9, I think. Speed of service, quality of his box kicking, man of the match in round 1. This is one that might be a bit contentious. Crowley came on for me and changed the dynamic and the course of that game a little bit. Only played 20 minutes, but the level of control that he showed in that coming on the pitch, I think, was maybe the difference in that game. I don't think Finn Russell maybe had his best game for Scotland. I don't think Prendergast had his best game for Ireland either. Looking outside him, I thought Ollie Lawrence was sensational. Huge. Defensively, banging boys, carrying the ball well, important to everything good England did. Hugh Jones scored a hat-trick. Didn't quite see him clicking in the same way that he does with Tui Pilotu. And then the back three, I think James Lowe again. Ireland made 10 line breaks. He was involved in 5 of them and 3 try assists. So he's got to be in there. Darcy Graham just creates magic. We love watching him play. And I think Blair Kinghorn again, just for his athletic prowess, the speed, and boss the skies as well.
Yeah, it's a decent-looking team. Of course, this team's been selected just on performances from round 1 from players that are available. Sam, let's have a look at your team.
Yeah, very similar. Not much to debate between the two of us. Only a couple of changes. I don't know. I love Genge's abrasiveness and ball-carrying ability. Yeah. So I've gone with Genge. Sheehan, similar. I know he come off the bench, but similar to John. I just think his impact off the bench, and he's the world's best hooker, I think. So I think he's got to get in there. Morgan at number 6, Jack Morgan. I think in a team that lost by 43 points, he still stood out. By the way, Darge, Morgan, Tom Curry, you can have a toss of a coin between those 3. But I've gone with Jack Morgan. Darge was brilliant, and so I think Doris is the standout 8 at the minute. I do think Ben Earl will probably find some form and start pushing that as well. So I expect those two to battle it out as well. I went with Prendergast at 10. He did have some nice kick options, some nice passes which unlocked the back line, but I don't think any 10 really lit it up this weekend. And then Aki and Lawrence. I mean, Aki was just a monster, and so was Lawrence. And people might say they might not complement each other, but I would just love to see those two boys in the midfield together. I would not want to face that.
Powerful, isn't it?
Oh, powerful. And then Kinghorn at 15, similar. He brings that. He had a few lovely moments in attack where he just would unlock Duan van der Merwe. I thought he was good. Lowe was just like his energy, long kicking game, line break ability, and then Darcy Graham had a game-changing moment. So that would be my Lions team. There's probably going to be a fair bit of change to that, but it certainly wouldn't be the team if everybody was available.
OK, cool. Well, let's put both of those teams side by side just to have a look at the differences. And there's only a few, in fairness. My first question is, in both of those teams, you're going to need a captain.
Ooh.
Who's captain?
Stump me. I don't know why. I think given that you've got to consider the relationship between captain and coach, and where is there going to be
And you and Gats were like best mates, weren't you?
Dad. Tad Key, as we say in Wales. Dad. I think that relationship with coach, captain, and also Farrell will probably have a slightly bigger number of backroom staff as well. And then the spine of the playing group has got to be Irish as well because they're just so good. So you just think, given all those things, put them into the mix, you think Doris is going to be the front runner? Who do you
For
think?
you, John?
I agree, yeah.
Okay, fair. Only a couple of changes when you look at that pack. John, you've gone for Tom Curry over Jack Morgan, but let's look a little bit wider than just the players from round one, because there's some massive absentees, like a Tyke Furlong, Tua Palotu, just to mention a couple of names. Where do you think they might fit into that team?
One who some people might not be thinking. I think there's, and I mean this with the most respect to anyone who plays in these positions, 12 and 14. If Tui Palotu and Faye Bosa are fit, they have to start for Lions.
Yep.
Tui Palotu is just. By the way, I feel bad because Aki's a hell of a player. Like, Aki is awesome. Like, I think it's amazing to have two 12s that quality. But I just think Tui Palotu with his attack kicking game, his distribution, collision in attack and D, and Faye Bosa, he's like an NFL running back. Like, I've just never seen anyone hit contact, keep going. And he's brilliant in the air. Like, he's a small guy, but he's brilliant in the air, crazy powerful. I just think he's an absolute freak of a player. So I would have Bosa in at winger, Tui Palotu at 12. I think if I had to pick a 10, I know I went with Prendergast, but I think Russell's got a lot in the bank, and he would start at 10. And then just on the bench option, I know we said Sheehan is far ahead of everyone, but I do think Derry Lake would not maybe the 15, but come in on the bench. I think we won't see him much, the Six Nations, but he brings this abrasiveness and size that is typical of like a Southern Hemisphere hooker, you know. So I expect Derry Lake to be thereabouts.
Tyke Furlong, does he make it ahead of Xander Ferguson?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's hard to know. I think Xander has taken his game to another level. I don't think many tight head props in world rugby, whether it's club or international, are playing the minutes he plays, and as consistently as he does. He puts in a shift, carries the ball well, scrums improves out of sight. So I think, but I do think Tyke Furlong has just maybe got that edge on him slightly. I think I agree with Warby on. I think Finn Russell's probably in the driving seat at the moment. Didn't have his best game at the weekend. The only one I maybe wasn't picked up on there was maybe Duan van der Merwe. I think it was a tight one in backfield. Obviously went on the last tour, started all 3 tests, played well. He'll certainly be in the conversation.
Would you put McCarthy with the Toji if he's back?
Yeah, possibly. I think
He's got a shout, I think, McCarthy.
McCarthy. I think McCarthy offers probably something slightly different to Maro Itoje and Ty Burn from a pure raw physicality and ball carrying in tight exchanges. So he's definitely going to be in and around it.
There we go. So there are our team for round one. Of course, we'll be revisiting this one in just a few weeks' time.